A mysterious encounter. The hum of machinery filled the air in the docking bay of Outpost K9, a lonely space station floating on the edge of the galaxy. Alex, a 28-year-old mechanic, worked late as usual, tightening bolts on a ship's engine. His brown hair was messy, his uniform smeared with grease. He didn't mind the quiet. It was better than the chaos of Earth. But tonight, something felt different. Alex had the strange feeling of being watched. He paused, wiping sweat from his brow, and glanced around the dimly lit bay. No one was there. Everyone else had gone to their quarters hours ago. Shrugging it off, he returned to his work. Then he saw it, a shadow moving near the edge of the bay. His pulse quickened. "Who's there?" he called, his voice echoing in the empty space. From the shadows stepped a figure, small and delicate. As the figure moved closer, the light revealed her, an alien girl. Her skin was a soft shade of blue, her eyes large and glowing silver. She wore a flowing robe that shimmered like starlight. She was beautiful, but there was something otherworldly about her that made Alex uneasy. "Don't be afraid," she said, her voice soft and melodic. "I mean no harm." Alex stared at her, his wrench slipping from his hand. He had seen many alien species during his time on the station, but none like her. Who are you? How did you get in here?" "My name is Kara," she said, her silver eyes locking onto his. "I am a traveler. My ship, it is damaged." Alex glanced behind her, but he couldn't see a ship. "You're not supposed to be here. This area is restricted." Kara stepped closer, and Alex noticed she was holding something in her hands. It was a small crystal orb, glowing faintly with a pale blue light. She extended it toward him. "Please, take this," she said. Alex hesitated. "What is it?" "A gift," she replied. "A token of gratitude. You repaired my ship." He frowned, confused. "I didn't repair anything for you." Kara tilted her head, a faint smile on her lips. "Not yet." The cryptic answer sent a chill down Alex's spine. He looked at the orb. It pulsed gently, almost as if it were alive. "Why would I take something from a stranger? Especially one who sneaks around?" Kara's smile faded, and her expression grew serious. "Because you are not just anyone, Alex." His heart skipped a beat. How did she know his name? "Okay, this is getting weird. I'm calling security." As he reached for his comm device, Kara suddenly stepped forward, her voice urgent. "Wait, you don't understand. You're the only one who can take this." "Why?" Alex demanded. "What is this thing?" "It's destiny," she whispered. "Destiny." That sounded ridiculous. Alex almost laughed, but the look in her eyes stopped him. There was something genuine about her desperation. Against his better judgment, he reached out and took the orb from her hands. The moment his fingers touched it, a strange warmth spread through his body. His surroundings seemed to blur, and he heard a faint hum, like a song just out of reach. The orb's glow intensified, casting light across the bay. Kara let out a breath of relief, her shoulders relaxing. "Thank you," she said softly. Alex blinked, trying to shake off the strange sensation. "What did I just do?" he asked. "What is this thing?" Kara smiled again, but this time it was different, mysterious, almost sad. "You've just changed your destiny." Before Alex could respond, the station's alarm system blared to life. Red lights flashed, and a robotic voice echoed through the bay. "Intruder detected. Lockdown initiated." Kara looked around, her expression calm despite the chaos. "I must go," she said. "Wait," Alex shouted, stepping toward her. "What's going on? What does this mean?" Kara didn't answer. She turned and ran toward the shadows, her shimmering robe vanishing as quickly as she had appeared. "Kara," Alex called, but she was gone. The alarms continued to blare, and footsteps echoed in the distance. Alex hid the orb in his jacket, his mind racing. Who was she? What was this strange gift? And what did she mean about destiny? As security officers stormed into the bay, Alex realized one thing. His quiet, predictable life on Outpost K9 had just been shattered. The unraveling mystery. Alex couldn't stop thinking about the alien girl. Kara's cryptic words echoed in his mind. "You've just changed your destiny." He had spent the rest of the night pretending everything was normal, but deep down, he knew it wasn't. The glowing orb she had given him felt heavier than it should, as if it carried more than its size suggested. The next morning, Alex sat in his cramped quarters, staring at the orb resting on his desk. Its light pulsed faintly, casting soft shadows on the walls. He had tried everything to understand it, shaking it, scanning it with his tools, even speaking to it. But nothing happened. "Maybe I should tell someone," he muttered to himself. But who would believe him? An unknown alien sneaks onto the station, gives him a glowing object, and then vanishes. It sounded ridiculous, even to him. As he reached out to touch the orb again, a faint whisper filled the air. Alex froze, his hand hovering above it. "Alex." He jerked his head around, searching for the source of the voice. The room was empty. His heart pounded in his chest. Slowly, he touched the orb. The whisper grew louder, forming words. "Alex, hear me." It was Kara's voice. "What the?" "Kara, is that you?" he asked, his voice trembling. The orb glowed brighter, and a shimmering projection of Kara appeared in front of him. She looked translucent, almost like a ghost. Her expression was calm, but her eyes held urgency. "Alex," she said, her voice clear now. "You need to listen carefully. The gift you accepted binds us together. There is no going back." "Wait, hold on." Alex stood up, backing away from the projection. "What do you mean binds us? What is this thing? Why me?" Kara's image flickered for a moment, then stabilized. "The orb is part of my people's tradition. It is a bond, a contract of trust. By accepting it, you agreed to be my partner." "Partner?" Alex repeated, feeling his stomach drop. "You mean, like, a marriage partner?" Kara tilted her head, confused. "Marriage? I do not understand your term, but yes, in a way. It is a sacred union of two beings, one that cannot be undone." Alex stared at her, his mind racing. "You tricked me. I didn't agree to anything like that." "I did not trick you," Kara said softly. "You accepted the orb willingly. It chose you because you have something my people need, something only a human can provide." "And what's that supposed to mean?" Alex demanded. "What do I have that's so special?" Kara's expression grew serious. "Courage, resilience, humanity. My world is dying, Alex. Our people are being hunted by an enemy we cannot defeat. We need your help." Alex laughed bitterly. "I'm a mechanic, not a hero. You've got the wrong guy." "The orb doesn't make mistakes," Kara replied firmly. "It saw something in you, even if you can't see it in yourself." Alex opened his mouth to argue, but a sharp knock on his door interrupted him. He quickly covered the orb with a cloth and turned toward the door. "Alex, open up." It was Commander Hayes, his voice gruff and impatient. "We need to talk." Alex's heart raced. Did the commander know about the orb? About Kara? He glanced at her hologram, but she was already fading, her image dissolving into shimmering particles. "Do not tell them about me," she whispered before vanishing completely. Alex took a deep breath and opened the door. Commander Hayes stood there, his arms crossed and a stern look on his face. Behind him were two security officers. "What's going on?" Alex asked, trying to sound casual. "We've been reviewing the logs from last night," Hayes said. "There's no record of any unauthorized ships entering or leaving the station, but the alarm in the docking bay wasn't a glitch. Something, or someone, triggered it." Alex forced a shrug. "Maybe it was a false alarm. Those systems are old." Hayes narrowed his eyes. You were the only one in the bay when it happened. Did you see anything unusual? Alex shook his head. Nope. Just me and the cargo freighter I was working on. The commander studied him for a moment, then nodded. All right, but if you remember anything, you report it immediately. Understood. Understood, Alex said, keeping his expression neutral. As soon as the commander and his officers left, Alex shut the door and leaned against it, his legs trembling. He pulled the cloth off the orb, which was now glowing faintly again. What the hell have I gotten myself into? He whispered. The orb didn't answer, but Alex could feel its warmth, as if it were alive. Somewhere deep inside, he knew this was just the beginning. Whatever Kara needed from him, it was far bigger than anything he had ever imagined. The proposal revealed. Alex sat in his dimly lit quarters, staring at the orb resting on his desk. Its soft glow pulsed rhythmically, casting an eerie light on the walls. He had spent the past 2 days trying to ignore it, but the weight of Kara's words kept playing in his mind. You've just changed your destiny. The truth was, his life had already changed. The orb had left a glowing, faintly pulsing mark on his palm, a mark he couldn't scrub away, no matter how hard he tried. And the whispers, they hadn't stopped. Faint, like distant voices carried on the wind, they only grew louder when he touched the orb. All right, what do you want from me? Alex muttered, running a hand through his messy hair. I didn't sign up for this. As if in response, the orb flared brightly. Alex shielded his eyes as a projection of Kara materialized in front of him. This time, she wasn't the ghostly image he had seen before. She looked more vivid, more real. Her shimmering blue skin seemed to glow with its own light, and her large silver eyes locked onto him. You're here again, Alex said, his voice a mix of frustration and disbelief. You need to start explaining. Kara's expression was calm but serious. I told you before, the orb binds us. By accepting it, you agreed to a sacred contract. A sacred contract. Alex stood, his chair scraping against the floor. You handed me this glowing rock without telling me what it was. That's not a contract. That's a scam. Kara's gaze softened, but there was an undeniable urgency in her voice. I didn't have a choice. Time is running out for my people. Then tell me what this thing is. Alex gestured to the orb. And what does it have to do with me? Kara stepped closer, her image flickering slightly. The orb is a bond crystal. In my culture, it is used to form a connection between two beings, one that cannot be undone. By accepting it, you became my partner. Alex froze, his breath catching in his throat. Partner? Like what? Some kind of cosmic buddy system? No, Kara said simply. A life partner. The words hit Alex like a punch to the stomach. He stared at her, trying to process what she had just said. You're telling me this is a marriage proposal? Kara tilted her head, her expression unreadable. In your terms, perhaps, but it is more than that. The bond is not just a promise. It is a fusion of our energies, our destinies. Your life is now intertwined with mine. Alex laughed, but it was a hollow, bitter sound. Oh, that's just great. So, what? I'm married to an alien now. Kara's gaze didn't waver. You are not just married. You are chosen. Chosen for what? Alex demanded, his frustration boiling over. Why me? I'm not a hero. I'm not a warrior. I'm a mechanic. You've got the wrong guy. Kara's expression grew somber. The bond crystal does not choose lightly. It sees potential where others do not. Your humanity, your resilience, and creativity makes you unique. My people are facing extinction, Alex. We are being hunted by an enemy we cannot defeat alone. The crystal chose you because you have the strength to help us. Alex shook his head, pacing the small room. You've got the wrong person, he said again. I don't want to be involved in this. You don't have a choice, Kara said softly. The bond has already been formed. If you reject it, the consequences will be dire. Alex stopped pacing and turned to her, his chest tightening. Dire. What does that mean? Kara hesitated, as if weighing how much to tell him. The bond links our fates. If one of us dies, the other will too. And if you try to break it, the bond crystal will destroy us both. Alex felt the room spin. He sank into his chair, burying his face in his hands. This can't be happening, he whispered. Kara stepped closer, her voice gentle but firm. I know this is overwhelming, but you must understand. I did not choose you lightly. You are our last hope. Alex looked up at her, his jaw clenched. If I'm stuck in this, I need answers. Who's hunting your people? And what do they want? Kara's image flickered again, and she glanced over her shoulder as if she heard something. I cannot explain everything now. But the enemy is relentless. They will come for you too, now that the bond is formed. Alex's stomach dropped. They're coming here. To the station. Kara nodded. You must prepare yourself. The bond will awaken abilities within you, powers you do not yet understand. But they will come with time. Powers? Alex asked, his voice dripping with sarcasm. What, do I get laser eyes or something? Kara didn't smile. Something far greater. But for now, you must trust me. If we do not stand together, we will both fall. Before Alex could ask anything else, Kara's image shimmered and vanished, leaving him alone with the pulsing orb. For the first time in his life, Alex felt truly helpless. Whatever this bond was, it had dragged him into a fight he wasn't ready for. And worse, it seemed like there was no way out. But one thing was certain, this was only the beginning. The alien world beckons. The air around Alex shimmered, twisting and warping like a mirage. One moment, he was in his quarters on the space station, clutching the glowing orb. The next, he was standing on solid ground beneath an alien sky. His breath hitched as he took in his surroundings. Towers of iridescent crystal spiraled high into the atmosphere, reflecting the light of 3 suns that hovered in the sky, casting hues of gold, violet, and turquoise. The ground beneath his feet glowed faintly, pulsing like a heartbeat, as if the planet itself were alive. What the hell? Alex muttered, spinning in place. Where am I? You are on my homeworld, said a familiar voice behind him. He turned quickly to see Kara standing a few feet away. She looked different here, more vibrant, her blue skin glowing faintly in the alien sunlight. Her silver eyes shimmered with what he could only describe as relief, or perhaps determination. Kara, Alex said, his voice rising in frustration. You can't just teleport me to another planet without asking. What is this place? What am I doing here? Kara stepped closer, her hands clasped in front of her. This is alien, the heart of my people's civilization. I brought you here because time is running out. You must see what is at stake. Time is running out for what? Alex demanded. And how did you even do this? 1 second, I'm on the station. And now I'm here. Kara didn't answer immediately. Instead, she gestured for him to follow her. Come. You need to see this for yourself. Reluctantly, Alex followed her. The alien city was unlike anything he had ever seen, with its crystalline structures humming softly as they passed. Beings similar to Kara walked the streets, their robes flowing like liquid light. Some of them stopped to stare at Alex, their expressions ranging from curiosity to outright hostility. I'm guessing humans don't visit often, Alex muttered. Kara's lips twitched in a faint smile, but her tone remained serious. You are the first. Lucky me, Alex said under his breath. Kara led him to a massive building at the center of the city. It looked like a cathedral made of glass and stars, its walls shifting and sparkling with every step they took. Inside, the air was cool and carried a faint hum, as if the building itself were alive. She brought him to a wide balcony overlooking a vast canyon. Alex gasped at the sight. Below them was a sprawling wasteland of scorched earth and shattered crystals. Enormous trenches stretched for miles, and jagged scars marred the landscape. The vibrant glow of the city didn't reach here. It was a graveyard. What happened here? Alex asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Kara's expression darkened. This is what's left of our outer colonies. They were once thriving, like the city behind us. But then they came. Who came? Alex asked, turning to her. Kara's voice grew cold. The Swarm. They are an artificial intelligence built long ago by a forgotten race. They consume and destroy everything in their path. We have fought them for centuries, but they adapt. They learn. And now, they are coming for Alien. Alex stared at the wasteland, his stomach twisting. And you think I can stop them? I told you, I'm just a mechanic. You're more than that, Kara said firmly. The bond crystal chose you because humanity possesses something the Swarm cannot replicate: emotional resilience and creativity. You think in ways they cannot predict. That is why you are here. Alex turned away from the canyon, shaking his head. This is insane. I didn't ask for this. I didn't ask to be anyone's savior. Kara stepped closer, her voice softening. I know this is overwhelming, but the bond has linked us. Alex, if we do not work together, we will both fall. He looked at her, searching for any hint of deception, but all he saw was sincerity and a deep, quiet desperation. Before he could respond, the ground beneath them trembled. A low, mechanical rumble echoed through the canyon, growing louder by the second. Kara's eyes widened, and she grabbed Alex's arm. They found us, she said. Alex's heart raced. What do you mean? They found us. Who? Kara didn't answer. Instead, she pulled him back into the building. As they ran through the crystalline halls, Alex could hear the sound of metallic clanging and buzzing growing closer. It was like a swarm of locusts, but far more menacing. They burst into an open chamber where a group of Kara's people stood, armed with glowing weapons. One of them, an older alien with deep silver patterns on his skin, glared at Alex. Why is he here? The elder demanded. He is the chosen, Kara said firmly. The elder snorted. He looks like a weakling. Alex opened his mouth to argue, but before he could speak, the walls of the chamber began to shake. The hum of the building grew louder, almost like a warning. Kara turned to Alex, her eyes filled with urgency. This is your chance to prove yourself, she said. What am I supposed to do? Alex asked, panic creeping into his voice. Trust the bond, Kara said. It will guide you. The doors of the chamber burst open, and the first wave of the swarm poured in. Sleek, metallic creatures with glowing red eyes and razor-sharp appendages. Alex's chest tightened as they advanced, but then he felt it, a warmth spreading from the mark on his palm. The orb, still in his jacket, began to glow brighter, flooding his mind with strange symbols and sensations. His fear faded, replaced by a strange clarity. He didn't know how, but he could feel the bond guiding him. The enemy revealed. Alex stood frozen, his heart pounding as the swarm poured into the chamber. They were nothing like he had imagined. Sleek, metallic creatures that moved with terrifying precision. Their glowing red eyes scanned the room, and their sharp blade-like limbs clicked against the crystalline floor. The hum of the building was drowned out by the eerie, mechanical buzz of the invaders. Kara stepped in front of him, her weapon glowing with an intense blue light. Stay close to me, she shouted, her voice cutting through the chaos. One of the swarm creatures lunged forward, faster than Alex could react. Kara raised her weapon and fired a beam of energy, slicing the creature in half. Sparks erupted as its remains crumpled to the ground, but more of them were already advancing. What are these things? Alex yelled, his voice trembling. Kara didn't look back as she fired again. They're called the Swarm. They are artificial constructs, designed to consume, adapt, and destroy. They were created by a long-dead race, but now they exist only to annihilate anything biological. Alex felt a surge of panic as another creature darted toward them. He fumbled for something, anything, to defend himself, but he had no weapon. Kara moved swiftly, dispatching the attacker with another precise shot. "You need to focus," she said, her voice sharp. "The bond will help you. Trust it." Alex clutched the orb in his jacket pocket, feeling its warmth spread through his palm. He didn't know what to do, but he could sense something shifting inside him, like an unseen force awakening. Suddenly, one of the swarm creatures broke through Kara's defenses, leaping toward Alex. Time seemed to slow as the creature's razor-sharp claws reached for him. Instinctively, Alex raised his hand, and the orb in his pocket flared to life. A burst of energy shot from his palm, slamming into the creature and sending it flying across the room. It crashed into the wall, shattering into a heap of broken metal. Alex stared at his hand in shock. What was that? Kara turned to him, her eyes wide. "The bond. It's activating your abilities." "Abilities?" Alex asked, his voice shaking. "What abilities?" "There's no time to explain." Kara grabbed his arm and pulled him toward a doorway. "We need to regroup with the others. Follow me." As they ran through the twisting corridors of the crystalline building, Alex could hear the swarm following them. Their mechanical buzz grew louder, echoing like an approaching storm. The warmth from the orb was still pulsing through him, and he could feel a strange energy building in his chest. It was as if the bond was trying to guide him, but he didn't know how to control it. They burst into a large hall where a group of Kara's people were holding their ground against the swarm. The alien soldiers moved with grace and precision, their glowing weapons cutting through the metallic attackers. But it was clear they were outnumbered. An older alien soldier spotted Alex and Kara as they entered the hall. His expression darkened. "Why did you bring him here?" he demanded. "He's not ready for this." "He's learning," Kara shot back. "The bond is awakening." The soldier glared at Alex. "Then he better awaken faster, or we're all dead." Another wave of the swarm surged into the hall, their metallic bodies glinting under the alien light. Alex felt his pulse quicken as the soldiers around him fought desperately to hold the line. Kara grabbed his shoulder, forcing him to look at her. "Alex, you need to trust the bond. Focus on what you're feeling. Let it guide you." "I don't know how," he shouted, his voice breaking. "I'm just a mechanic." "You're more than that now," Kara said firmly. "The bond wouldn't have chosen you if you weren't capable." Alex closed his eyes, trying to block out the chaos around him. He focused on the warmth of the orb, on the strange energy coursing through him. He could feel the swarm, their presence like dark ripples in the air. It was as if the bond was showing him where they were, what they were going to do next. When he opened his eyes, everything seemed sharper. The movements of the swarm were no longer a blur. He could anticipate their attacks. Without thinking, he raised his hand again, and a burst of energy shot from his palm, striking one of the creatures before it could attack a soldier. Kara smiled. "That's it. Keep going." Alex nodded, his confidence growing. He moved alongside Kara, using the bond's energy to fight back against the swarm. For the first time, he felt like he wasn't just a bystander. He was part of the battle. But as the fight raged on, Alex noticed something strange. The swarm wasn't just attacking at random. They seemed to be moving with purpose, their red eyes fixed on him. "Why are they targeting me?" he asked, panting as he blasted another creature. Kara's expression darkened. "They sense the bond. They know you're the key to defeating them." Alex's stomach dropped. "The key? What does that mean?" Kara didn't answer immediately. Instead, she raised her weapon and fired at a group of advancing swarm. "We'll explain later. For now, you need to survive." As the battle reached its peak, Alex realized two things. The swarm wasn't going to stop, and neither was the bond. Whatever he had become, it was only the beginning, and he wasn't sure if that terrified him or gave him hope. Choosing his destiny. The silence was deafening after the battle. Alex stood in the ruins of the crystalline hall, his chest heaving. The glowing corpses of the swarm littered the ground, their metallic forms now lifeless and twisted. The alien soldiers around him whispered among themselves, their expressions a mix of awe and suspicion. Kara approached him slowly, her weapon still in hand, but no longer glowing. Her silver eyes met his, and for a moment, neither of them spoke. Alex looked down at his hands, which were still faintly warm from the energy he had unleashed. The glowing mark on his palm pulsed gently, as if reminding him of its presence. "I didn't ask for this," Alex said quietly, breaking the silence. Kara's expression softened. "I know, but you are part of this now." Alex shook his head, his voice rising. "You don't get it. I'm not some chosen hero. I'm just a mechanic. I fix things. I don't fight wars." Kara stepped closer, her tone firm but gentle. "You've already proven you're more than that. You saved lives today, Alex. That's not something a simple mechanic does." He looked away, his jaw tightening. "I didn't save anyone. I just got lucky." "Luck had nothing to do with it," she said, her voice steady. "The bond chose you because it saw what you're capable of, even if you can't see it yet." Alex opened his mouth to argue, but a voice interrupted him. It was the elder soldier who had doubted him before. The alien's silver-patterned skin glimmered faintly under the dim light as he stepped forward, his expression grim. "Kara," the elder said, his tone sharp, "you've brought a human into this war, and now the swarm knows about him. Do you have any idea what you've done?" "I've given us a chance," Kara replied firmly. The elder scowled, his gaze shifting to Alex. "A chance? This human is a liability. The swarm won't stop until they've destroyed him. And us." Alex felt a pang of guilt, but Kara didn't waver. "The bond amplifies his potential. With time, he will be stronger than any of us. The swarm fears him because they know he's the key to their defeat." "Key to their defeat," Alex said, his frustration boiling over. "You keep saying that, but no one will tell me what it actually means. What do you want from me? What does this bond even do?" Kara hesitated, her eyes searching his face. Finally, she sighed. "The bond is more than a connection between us. It's a gateway, a bridge between human ingenuity and our technology. Together, we can create something the swarm cannot adapt to. But it requires trust. It requires unity." "Unity?" Alex repeated, his voice bitter. "You mean I'm supposed to give up my life for your war?" Kara's gaze hardened. "This isn't just our war anymore, Alex. The swarm doesn't stop. Once they finish with my people, they'll come for yours. This is bigger than you or me." Her words hit him like a punch to the gut. He thought of Earth, of the station he had called home for years. The swarm would leave nothing behind. Not the cities, not the people. He clenched his fists, the glowing mark on his palm flaring slightly. "I didn't sign up to be anyone's savior," he said quietly. "I just wanted a quiet life." Kara's voice softened. "I know. And if I could take this burden from you, I would. But you have a choice now. You can turn away and leave us to fight alone, or you can stand with us and make a difference. The choice is yours." Alex stared at her, his mind racing. He thought about the station, about the life he had left behind. It had been simple, predictable. But now, standing here in the ruins of a battle on an alien world, he realized that life would never be the same. The swarm wouldn't let it. He looked at Kara, her silver eyes filled with quiet determination. She had put her faith in him, even when others hadn't. And despite everything, a part of him didn't want to let her down. "What happens if I say no?" he asked. Kara hesitated. "If you refuse the bond, it will shatter. The energy will destroy both of us. and weaken the defense of my people. The swarm will win." Alex let out a bitter laugh. "So it's not much of a choice, is it?" "It is," Kara said softly. "Because if you choose to stay, you'll be doing it for the right reasons. Not because of the bond, but because you believe in something greater." Alex was silent for a long moment. The hum of the building and the faint murmurs of the soldiers faded into the background. Finally, he let out a slow breath and met Kara's gaze. "If I do this, I need answers. Real answers. No more secrets." Kara nodded. "You'll have them. I promise." Alex looked down at his glowing palm, the mark flickering like a flame. The energy inside him felt wild, untamed, but it was his now. Slowly, he clenched his fist. "All right," he said. "I'm in. But if I die, I'm blaming you." Kara smiled faintly. "Fair enough." The elder soldier grunted. "Let's hope your faith in him isn't misplaced." Alex turned to the elder, his expression grim. "Me too." As the three suns of Alien set on the horizon, casting the city in shades of gold and violet, Alex felt the weight of his decision settle on his shoulders. He didn't know what the future held, but for the first time, he felt like he was ready to face it. The final battle. The air crackled with tension as Alex stood on the front lines of Alien, the last stronghold of Kara's people. The vibrant crystalline city now loomed like a beacon of defiance against the approaching darkness. In the distance, the swarm gathered, a sea of gleaming metallic creatures, their red eyes glowing like 1,000 burning coals in the night. Alex tightened his grip on the glowing orb in his hand, now fused with his very essence. The mark on his palm pulsed in sync with his heartbeat, radiating a warm energy that he was only beginning to control. Around him, Kara's people, her soldiers, her family, prepared for the fight of their lives. This wasn't just their battle anymore. It was his too. Kara stepped beside him, her weapon glimmering with blue energy. Her silver eyes met his, steady and unyielding. "This is it," she said softly. "The swarm won't stop until everything is gone. Our people, your world, and every trace of life." Alex nodded, swallowing hard. "And we're supposed to stop them with what?" "Hope and glowing hands." Kara smiled faintly, though her expression was tinged with sadness. "The bond makes us stronger together. But it's more than that, Alex. The swarm can't adapt to what they don't understand. Your humanity, the way you think, the way you fight, it's their weakness." "Great," Alex muttered. No pressure. A low rumble shook the ground, and Alex's sarcastic comment died in his throat. The swarm was moving, advancing like a wave of living metal. Their mechanical buzz grew louder, filling the air like an unholy symphony. Kara raised her weapon. "Positions," she shouted, her voice ringing with authority. The soldiers around them formed ranks, their glowing weapons aimed at the approaching enemy. Alex's chest tightened. He had fought the swarm before, but this time was different. This time, there was no fallback plan. If they failed, there would be nothing left to protect. Kara touched his shoulder, grounding him. "Remember, Alex, the bond will guide you. Trust it." He nodded, even though doubt clawed at his mind. Trusting the bond had saved him before, but it was a gamble every time. The energy within him felt wild and unpredictable, like holding a storm in the palm of his hand. The swarm charged. The first wave of metallic creatures surged forward, their razor-sharp limbs slicing through the air. The soldiers unleashed a barrage of energy blasts, cutting down the front lines, but the swarm adapted quickly. They shifted their forms, their exoskeletons absorbing and deflecting the attacks. Alex gritted his teeth and stepped forward. The mark on his palm flared, and a surge of energy burst from his hand, slamming into the swarm with explosive force. The creatures shattered, but more replaced them, relentless and unyielding. "Keep going," Kara shouted, fighting beside him. "You're doing it." Alex's muscles burned as he unleashed blast after blast of energy. The bond was guiding him, feeding him strategies and instincts he didn't know he had. He dodged attacks with precision, countering with powerful strikes that tore through the swarm's ranks. But the enemy wasn't just attacking head-on. In the chaos, Alex noticed smaller, faster creatures slipping past the front lines, heading straight for the city. "They're trying to flank us," he yelled. Kara turned, her eyes narrowing. "We can't let them breach the city. If they reach the core, it's over." "Then I'll stop them," Alex said, stepping toward the breach. Kara grabbed his arm. "You can't do this alone." He met her gaze, his expression resolute. "I have to. Trust me." Kara hesitated, then nodded. "Be careful." Alex sprinted toward the city, his heart pounding. The swarm was everywhere, their metallic forms a blur of motion. He could feel the bond guiding him, the Ord's energy flowing through his veins. Every step felt like a leap of faith, but he didn't have time to think, only to act. He reached the city's core, a massive crystalline structure glowing with the energy that powered Alien. The swarm creatures were already there, their razor-like limbs hacking at the protective barriers. "Not on my watch," Alex growled. He raised his hand, and the mark on his palm erupted with light. The energy surged outward, forming a protective shield around the core. The swarm recoiled, their red eyes flickering as they tried to adapt. But Alex wasn't done. The bond pushed him further, showing him how to manipulate the energy, how to turn it into something the swarm couldn't counter. He focused, pouring everything he had into the shield. The light grew brighter, more intense, until it became a blinding pulse that rippled through the city. The swarm screeched in unison, their forms convulsing as the energy disrupted their systems. One by one, they began to collapse, their metallic bodies crumbling into lifeless heaps. Alex fell to his knees, exhausted but alive. The glow of the Ord faded, and the mark on his palm dimmed to a faint outline. He looked around, his chest heaving. The swarm was gone, at least for now. Kara appeared beside him, her expression a mix of relief and pride. "You did it," she said softly. Alex managed a weak smile. "Yeah, I guess I did." The city erupted in cheers as Kara's people emerged from their shelters, celebrating their survival. But Alex knew this wasn't the end. The swarm would return, stronger and smarter. They always did. Kara knelt beside him, placing a hand on his shoulder. "You've given us a chance, Alex. That's more than we've had in a long time." He looked at her, his exhaustion giving way to determination. "Then we'd better make it count." As the alien suns rose over the city, casting their light on the battered but victorious people of Alien, Alex realized something. He wasn't just a mechanic anymore. He was part of something bigger, something worth fighting for. And for the first time, he was ready.